Good evening to each one of you present here. My deep gratitude for taking out time and participating in this session. And my deepest gratitude to Riddhesh Shah, our speaker, our esteemed speaker of the day, who agreed to be here and take up this topic, which is of great interest to many of us, either living here in UAE or in different parts of the world. We allow people to join from different parts of the world, and I can see that we have our guests here from different countries, mainly UAE and Indian subcontinent. So this is a forum where chartered accountants, Indian chartered accountants, it's a CA speakers forum, get an opportunity to speak, and the audience is diverse and wide. And today we are taking a topic which is how to become a tax agent here in UAE, registered tax agent, and why. If I look back into the history when VAT was introduced in the law came in 2017 and it became effective in 2018. At that point of time, there were very few tax agents. And one of the requirement was that you need to be proficient in Arabic. As I was involved with ICI at that point of time, in September 2018, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India had submitted a representation to the Federal Tax Authority having several points. And one of the point which we had mentioned in the last briefly was a request to see that if we can have only English as a proficient language, being a business language, because most of us do not know how to read, speak, or write in Arabic. Some of our members have learned that. And it's a very proud moment for us as the Indian Chartered Accountants that there were at least three Indian Chartered Accountants who knew Arabic very well, and they became a tax agent. And that was long time ago, more than 5, 6 years back. There were few others also who joined in that same uh, queue where they had learned Arabic and they became a tax agent. Subsequently, over the past few years, I do not know how many of us have registered. Most of us, I understand, haven't been a registered tax agent. That's why we are here. But many of the Indian chartered accountants or people from Indian subcontinent have become a tax agent in the recent times. I don't know what's the number. Maybe Riddhesh can answer to that. And our speaker, Riddhesh, he is someone who is in Indian chartered accountant, having a post-qualification experience of a decade, and has been here in UAE for the past around 3 years. I have started knowing Riddhesh from maybe 2 years' time, and it really feels proud. I feel proud to see young chartered accountants putting significant efforts and making a significant impact. And Riddhesh is one of them. I do not know exactly when he became tax agent, but I understand it has been close to a year or close to a year when he had passed the major hurdle to become a tax agent. And his experience over the past few months will significantly help us. His experiences as he learned or as he participated in the process is something for which we are here to take benefit of. And Riddhesh, thank you so much. It feels proud to see a fellow member doing so well uh, and uh, spending so much time in corporate tax, tax expert, and being here with us today on this topic of interest.
Thank you.
Since
Thank you so much.
since this was announced, I got so many messages that this was the need, though, because when it is from someone who has already done it, it makes things much easier. We can read everywhere, but the experiences make a significant difference. So before I hand over to you, what would be your opening remarks? And over to you for a minute, small.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Prabdeep ji. So, even before I get into the opening remarks, I would just like to thank you for, organizing this and creating this CA Speakers Forum, wherein, we, as a chartered accountants of India, exchange our thoughts and ideas, and it's an awesome learning experience and an awesome platform which you have built, sir, both from
Thank
the
you.
speaker's perspective and from the audience perspective as well.
Thank
And
you.
coming to the topic, even just like you got so many messages, even I get messages on LinkedIn, like, oh, you are a tax agent. Please let me know what the process is. There is a guide out there regarding the tax agent, but even everything is written in black and white. But there are some practical aspects to it as well, which is not written in black and white. So that's what I'm going to speak about, as the
Right.
topic suggests, right? Why and how? So these are the two major questions which I am going to answer during my process.
Thank
And
you.
definitely Prabdeep ji will have the question and answer session at the
Right.
end.
Certainly.
So you
Yeah.
might many of the audience might have started the process. I know a
You're
couple
right.
of those who have already started the process, and just feel free to ask the practical questions, and I'll try my best to answer in the corrective way, because I have been through this process and I know the challenges which I have faced. Over.
Thank you. Right. Thank you, Riddhesh. Thank you. We are so grateful that you are here today on this session. And I would request the participants now to please show your love with the emojis so that we can give a grand welcome to Riddhesh and request you to use thumbs up, love, whatever you wish to. And with this, Ridesh, over to you. Looking forward to your session. Thank you. The screen is all yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabdeep ji, and thank you everyone. I'm getting a lot of emojis, love and the thumbs up emojis. So
Thank
no,
you.
I just consider this as my duty. I've got a lot from our fraternity, and it's my duty to give back and help everyone. So now starting my session, see, firstly, without wasting much time, I'll give a brief intro so that, you have confidence, you are hearing the right person. So as Prabdeep ji rightly said, like I have been in UAE for almost 3 years, and I have been tax agent since last 1 year. And I have a decade of experience working in taxes only. So that's my brief background without getting much into the detail. And now starting with the session, like, what I follow is, whenever I approach any task or, any job at hand, there are three questions or actually four questions which you will ask. Like those four questions are why, how, when, and who, right? So when we'll skip it now, because what we are talking about is tax agent. So if at all it is required to be done now. It's the best time, better do it now than later. And why and how is what I'm going to answer now. So why this tax agent concept? What is the concept of this tax agent? First, let's get into that. So concept of tax agent is not something new, like which the UAE has developed. Like even if we see India, there's a concept of TRP, tax return preparer, and even in US and UK and Singapore, all of those jurisdictions have a concept of tax agent, but it's just the rules are a bit different and it's named in one way or the other, right? And why this tax agent? Because it's the duty of the federal tax authority or the government to educate the people and the community at large regarding what taxes is. And it's obvious that FTA or MOF cannot reach everywhere. So that's where they have entrusted FTA with the responsibility of doing this. So this platform of tax agent builds a credibility, right? Instead of going to any non-registered advisor, there is a sense of trust when you go to a tax agent that he or she is being regulated by the FTA. And you'll come to know during the course of this session that why I'm saying so is being regulated by FTA, because there is a lot, it's not that simple that when once you clear one exam and you are tax agent for lifetime. There are things which continuously have to be done by a tax agent to keep himself or herself updated. Right. So long story short, the government has created an ecosystem through which they can educate the masses through the concept of tax agent. Right. So let's first get into the question of why you should become a tax agent. Right. So I'll just put up my couple of slides which I have prepared. Just hold on. Yeah. Is my screen visible?
Yes, yes, Riddhesh, please go ahead. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So I'll just do the full screen. Yeah, so see, there can be two kinds of benefit. One is from the perspective of the industry. What are the benefits to the client for having a tax agent do the tax filings and tax advisory work? And what are the benefits for a tax advisor or a tax consultant to get himself or herself registered as a tax agent? So first I'll go into the client side. What are the benefits? First, I'll go into the agent side. Right. So it gives a legal mandate. Like, so there is a sense of confidence that the government has approved him or her to be a tax agent. So there is a sense of confidence that he or she is aware of the law. And, instead of going and doing a background check of the consultants, there is an authority which is giving you a stamp, which is none other than the FTA. Second one is the tax agent is regulated. So, as I mentioned that, there is not only a rigorous exam which the tax agent has to clear. There is a continuous professional development, which means a lifelong learning, which means that the tax agent should keep himself or herself updated about the law. So the criteria is for a person who is a tax agent. Let's firstly understand that taxation can be of two types. There are two types of tax, like one is VAT and one is corporate tax. So you can either be of corporate tax or either be of a VAT tax agent, or for both the cases. But there has to be expertise in both the cases. Like if you are a tax agent only for corporate tax, you have to complete 20 hours of continuous professional development in 1 year. That is a structured manner. Now we'll come into it, what is structured and what is unstructured. So no, and the details have to be submitted to the Federal Tax Authority, failing which the license can be revoked, the registration can be revoked. So no, there is, so the tax agent, you can be confident, the client can be confident that the tax agent is aware about the law. And third and the most important is the tax agent has a right to represent against the tax dispute resolution committee. So which is if it is not about the tax agent, then you'll have to hire a lawyer or something. But tax agent brings a sense of confidence that he is specialization in the tax approved by the FTA and he can represent us just by selecting him or her in the FTA portal, and you can get going, instead of executing the POA, hiring the lawyer and whatnot. Right. And the next advantage is government aligned growth. So this point is important, right? Right. So the government has developed this concept of tax agent. So as the law in the UAE evolves, as the tax evolves, government will definitely have some role of the tax agent in the mind. So the tax agent role can be enhanced, and it might also be possible that few exclusivities also be given, that like few tasks only tax agent can do. Like we don't know that, it's up to us. It's up to the government what they decide. And next point is the tax agent gets to participate in government surveys and committees. So, just about 6 to 7 months ago, government actually did this. like few of the tax agent, there was a criteria which government decided, and based on that criteria, few of the tax agent were selected, and they were invited by the FTA to to discuss on the wide range of issues. So this can act as a platform wherein the client can give their representations to the tax agent, and the tax agent can put it to the government. So this is again an awesome concept which the government is doing, and taking actively taking the feedback from the industry regarding the issue. And the last part is potential scope for activities restricted to non-tax agent professionals. So I took up this point. Like there can be scenarios in future where certain exclusivities can be given. Only tax agent can do particular kind of thing. Now coming to the benefit from the client perspective is, many of you might have, and not many, but I would say all of you might have experienced this. Whenever you visit the FTA office, you either need a power of attorney, which is, notarized by Dubai courts, and again, that is a process, or FTA insists that the owner himself or herself should be present over here. Right? So at many a times it becomes impossible. So in many a cases, see, I have observed that they are not even entertaining the managers in the license. If at all there is any query or representation to be made, they need the owners or the authorized person, which is, again, you'll have to execute a POA. So all this gets removed from a client perspective. You just go to the FTA portal, select a tax agent, and you are all done. The tax agent can speak on your behalf in before the FTA and solve any of your queries. Again, this is advantage even from the client perspective, that the tax agent can represent before TDRC. It's both advantage for the agent and for the client as well. From the client perspective, this is the work you can trust upon. It is expertise. Why expertise? Because there is a rigorous examination which has to be cleared, and then there is a professionalism. Like there is a professional code of conduct which the tax agent has to follow, which FTA has published, and it's publicly available. Hiring a tax agent. Next benefit is hiring a tax agent can bring in, operational efficiency. Like, the everything can be given to a tax agent, and the owners can focus more on business. The next two benefits are confidentiality. Definitely, the tax agent is bound to keep all the information confidential, and because he or she is governed by the FTA code of conduct. And it also gives a regulatory agility. Like, if at all, the client has any technical doubts, or technical stuff which needs to be solved, the tax agent is the one who can do it. So any doubts so far? So I'll just take a pause for, if at all you have any questions, or should I move ahead?
Maybe Riddhesh, you can move ahead now because you have only done the introduction part, right? Maybe more
Yes.
questions may come in during the process time, right? So
Yeah, sure, sure. No problem. So I'll go into the process now. So what I've done is, so what I'm going to do is, I'll just speak directly from the FTA legislature. So, so as a tax practitioner, what I always follow is, whenever there is a technical doubt which has to be solved, I directly refer to the legislature instead of, Googling the things, or, referring to the guide, because that's the best way to do the things when you are interpreting a law. Just directly refer to the law, and that's what we are going to do. So where does this law come from? So there is something called tax procedure law. There is a federal decree to it, and the federal decree has given powers to the cabinet to frame the laws regarding the registration and then the process of the tax agent. So I'll just share you the cabinet decision 74 of 2023, which talks about the process. Just give me a minute. Yeah, here it is. So Article 12, 13, and 14 of Cabinet Decision 74 of 2023, like it was recently updated in as early as 2026, but there were no changes as regards to these three articles. So these three articles talks about tax agents, and definitely when we talk about legislature, there is an FTA decision also to it, uh, which we'll discuss during the course of the discussion. So Article 12 talks about conditions and control for registration of tax agent. So Article 12, sub-article 1 talks about the direct conditions. So first condition is he be of a good behavior and conduct. So each of the condition which I'm going to talk about has a corresponding document which has to be submitted. Right. So when we come to be of a good conduct and behavior, there is a self-declaration which the FTA requires you to sign and submit during the course of the process. The second one is be never convicted of crime, misdemeanor, prejudicial to honor or honesty. Again, for this, the FTA is going to ask you for self-declaration, and along with that, a police clearance certificate is also required. So I'll come to it how to get all those stuff, but let's first talk about the conditions. And the third condition is the most important one, is regarding the experience. So the government or the cabinet has ensured that the tax agent who is being getting registered has adequate of experience as regards tax. So there are three sub conditions. Out of these three, any one has to be fulfilled. So the tax agent who is getting enrolled should have 3 years of experience out of last 5 years and should hold a certified degree, a bachelor's degree, which has masters in tax, accounting, or law. Again, the next condition is he should have a 3 years experience out of 5 years and should have a certified degree in any field apart from tax. But along with that, he should have any professional qualification regarding tax. I mean, let's bifurcate like what is the difference between subcondition 1 and subcondition 2. The first condition talks about the bachelor's degree, which along which has masters in tax. And the second one talks about any other bachelor's degree which doesn't have masters in tax, but you need a professional qualification which has some masters in tax. So over here, professional qualification can be chartered accountancy, and your graduation can be bachelor's degree can be your BCom or whatever you have done. And the next condition is the he or she should have a 5 years experience out of 8 years and should hold a bachelor's degree. Again, here if you see there is no requirement of professional qualification. Sorry, please excuse me. So yeah, if there is a 5 year experience, he or she will be considered to have adequate of experience in tax as well. But if there is a 3 years experience, he'll need an expertise from tax in education itself. Again, the document here which the FTA is going to ask is your experience letter from your previous organizations. And they are very particular on this. They need the experience to be mentioned, like whatever, you cannot pick up any experience letter and give. There has to be clear mention that he or she has worked in tax. Again, here your India experience is also counted. Like in my case, I had experience back then in India, which was considered by FTA. The next one is complete any necessary training specified by the authority and pass the qualifying exam. So here, there is a course which is offered by PwC, the diploma course, which has to be completed. So again, as I said, there are two separate registrations, one for corporate tax and one for VAT. And a person can apply for both as well. But the exam needs to be cleared for both separately. It should not, it cannot be that a person only clears corporate tax and registers for both. So now let's first talk about corporate tax. So corporate tax, it's mandatory to give to attend the lectures which is offered by PwC Academy, and clear the exam which is offered by Association of Tax Technicians UK. Again, that is done through PwC. And we talk about VAT. Since the VAT is a old law, the government has already allowed self-study, wherein there is no need to appear for the lectures, but you need to clear the exam offered by ATT, like the Association of Tax Technician UK. Right. So, am I clear on this?
Yes, yes, Riddhesh. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Sure. And again, as Prabdeep ji mentioned in the starting earlier, there was a mandate to have Arabic as the proficient language. So now, if you see the words here, it is mentioned as or over here. So it can be either Arabic or English. So I just skipped like in the D condition, the document which needs to be submitted is the certificate which is offered by ATT, the examination. And over here, I would like to mention one practical experience is that they are not asking for the attendance letter, like the how much attendance have you appeared in the courses. Like so, if you consider yourself an expert in corporate tax or VAT, like you can just appear the exam, even without attending and just registering. So they are not asking for the attendance report. So in terms of E, the person should be either proficient in Arabic or English. And for this, there is a document which needs to be submitted is IELTS. And over here, I get a lot of queries. Like if you read the law, if you read the guide, or if you read the federal law, it's mentioned that you can submit a certificate from the prescribed institution as well regarding the language proficiency. But the thing is, those institutions have not been prescribed yet by the federal government or by the cabinet. So the only way out here is to give the IELTS. I even checked with the FTA whether they'll accept any kind of certificate, proficiency certificate from any institution. They clearly denied me and asked me to appear for IELTS and submit the certificate. So I get a lot of queries regarding this on LinkedIn or whoever is trying to be a tax agent. So IELTS is something which is compulsory. So, and for any working professional, that should not be a challenge because, English is the mode in which we communicate, and the getting 6 GPA, like the criteria is getting 6 or plus GPA. It shouldn't be a very big issue. Right. So, for those of you who don't know what IELTS is, like it's a course which is offered by the British Council Institute, and it has 4 modules: reading, listening, writing, and speaking. So all those 4 exams are conducted in one day. So it's not that you'll not have to prepare. If you don't, if you have never appeared for IELTS, it's better that you go prepared. Again, the question is, do you need any kind of classes to get 6 plus GPA in IELTS? The answer is, I would say it depends. Like, if you are very confident, then the material is available publicly, even in the British Council website. You can go through it. Even the practice modules are available. You can just practice it yourself and test yourself whether you are getting 6 plus GPA or no. And if you're confident, please give it yourself. And if you're not confident, there are training institutes. You can find even British Council themselves offer the lectures for this. So you can either go to a training institute or opt for British Council lectures. And
Riddhesh,
yeah,
yeah, there's a one hand raised. Should I take that question now?
yes,
Zuzer.
please, please, please.
Okay, Zuzer, can you please unmute and uh,
Hello, can you hear me?
yeah, yes, yes, please
Hi,
share your.
Riddhesh Juga.
Hi, Jose.
Hi. So my question is like I am also in the process of doing it. I've already registered with the PwC that home course that you're talking about. So my question is not regarding that. My question is regarding the work experience. I have a
Yeah.
query. I have a doubt. Like I am a practicing chartered accountant from last 9 years in India. I have my own COP. So in that experience of what type of letter should I go for? Should I make a letter on my own letterhead? Will they accept that type of letterhead, or should I take up? Still, I go and take a experience from someone else letter.
No, see, you should not lie. What I would advise is you should take few client testimonies. Like, you might
Okay.
have clients when you are practicing, right? So
Yes.
that should help ideally. Like you can definitely, like you might have a sole proprietorship or a registered company, right?
Supervisor. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so you can definitely print one letter on that and stating that you were experienced in text, and along with that, client testimony should help.
And does that letter needs to get some attestation done in UAE, or just a stamp and
No,
sign from India?
stamp and sign is fine. No kind of statutory attestation is required.
No attestation is required.
No.
Okay. And one more query I have, sorry, is I have one more. I have done my data flow. I think you will cover that thing in future ahead slide. From verification, degree verification of my
Sorry, come again?
university. I have done my university verification of my degree,
Yeah,
BCom degree.
yes,
Yes,
that I'll come. I'll come to that.
I know. So okay, you come to that, and I'll ask that if I have.
So please,
Okay, you
since
go.
since you're talking, just please go ahead and
Okay,
answer.
so my query is that does my call I got a verification done. I will share you personally also. If so, I just want to have query. Does the they have not mentioned any that credit hours in that verification? Is that necessary? Is that a
Credit
necessary criteria?
credit hours
Credit
in
hours
terms
sometimes
of
23,
in terms
24 credit hours needs to be completed. I think that is. I think I don't know if is it for the FTA agent or is it for the audit license.
I
That
think,
criteria.
yeah. It seems that what user you are asking is for audit license, which is 15 credit hours. That
Okay.
is mainly it comes up because most of us from India, we are bachelors in commerce.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we have to prove that we have studied accountancy. So
Yes.
that's how it works. We'll move to Mukesh. Maybe now, Mukesh, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Yeah.
Hi, Riddhesh. Sorry, just wanted to check, like, is it compulsory to work for a professional firm to be a tax agent? Because I'm not working as a professional firm. I'm working as a finance person in a
So yes,
trading
it is
company last.
mandatory. It is mandatory that you
So,
have to work for the professional firm. Like I'll so since you have brought up this question, I'll share you my experience. Like I am a corporate tax agent, and my organization has another agent for VAT. So she faced this experience. Like she was in a dependent visa, so that's where they raised an issue. Her visa is not from from the organization through which she is registering. So we had to get her visa done. Not visa exactly, but a labor card done for her through this organization, just for getting registered as a tax agent. So
okay.
employment is something which is mandatory for this.
No. I'm telling like I'm a CPA US. I've completed both the examination for VAT, for corporate tax. Only IELTS like proficiency is left. But I'm working in last 15 years in a trading company. So it means like I cannot apply for a tax agent even after having all the qualifications.
So last condition is that you have to be linked with a tax agency. So for
So that,
you will filter in the last condition, you will get a provisional certificate. You will get a provisional
yeah.
certificate, but your name might not be
Uh,
listed in the tax agent register.
Yes. Yeah. So I think Riddhesh, Mukesh, main question is whether that experience in a corporate can be counted. I think that's what his main question, I believe, is.
Yeah, for applying.
Yeah.
See, after that,
Yeah.
even I can open
Yeah.
see, opening a tax agency doesn't require to be a
Yeah.
like you have to open a tax agency that I can do myself and attach myself as a tax agent. That's a different thing. But to be a tax agent, is it compulsory to have a professional like accounting or auditing firm working
No, no, no.
experience?
That is no. That's not mandatory. So you can
Because
have. You
I
can work
faced
in the
this
industry.
because I faced the same issue when I was applying for a license, auditing license. So they said my experience is not in from a professional company, so they didn't allow
Yeah.
me because
Mukesh, auditing is different, I think. Yeah. So here, if Riddhesh is clarifying that, okay, you can
yeah,
appear
no, because
your
that was the
experience.
fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was my
That's
fear.
it.
And that's why I didn't apply it after completing for examination last 3 years back. Till now, I have not applied for tax agent till now.
It's just
Yeah.
that you should have worked in tax. And your letter, experience letter should state that. It's not mandatory that professional firm You should work in a
No,
professional
I
firm. Even
don't.
industry is fine.
No, I think my company will only give me like after working as an accountant or finance field like last 15 years in this position, which will be a finance manager or something like that.
Okay,
Okay,
maybe Mukesh, we can take your question
yeah,
separately. Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, Riddhesh, you can go.
Yeah, sure. So next condition is we have already spoken about the language proficiency. The next condition is professional indemnity insurance. Like for those of you, I see many of audiences has the auditing background. So for the audit practice, this is something which is mandatory here. And even for a tax agency to get registered, you'll have to have a professional indemnity insurance. And one practical insight to this. So, for example, Riddhesh is getting registered as a tax agent. So, Riddhesh's name should appear in the indemnity insurance, but insurance should be in the name of the tax agency, the organization which I am registering as a tax agent. So, your name should be appearing on that. The next condition is has a license to work for an entity which has a license from the competent authority. Again, so to getting, as I said, the last condition for getting the final certificate is linking of tax agent with the tax agency. So to register a tax agency, you'll need an organization which has accounting or a tax activity which is mentioned in the license. Right. So without that, you'll not be able to register a tax agency. Like, a trading company cannot register himself as a tax agency. The text should be there in the license. And the last condition is must not be a current member of the committee. The committee here means TDRC, Tax Dispute Resolution Committee. And again, for this, they are going to ask the declaration from you. Now again, so these conditions were for the individual, and there are separate set of condition which is mentioned for judicial person. So I'll just quickly run through it in the interest of time. So as I said, the license should be of audit, tax, or law firm, should have a valid indemnity insurance. And again, this we discussed, right? At least one of the director or partner, or I would just add from the practical insight or employee, should meet the conditions of a clause 1 of this article. Clause 1 means the conditions which we discussed earlier, and is supervising the service provided by the juridical person, and meets any other additional condition which are not yet prescribed apart from CPD, continuous professional development. The again now next is so now again we are talking about the process here, right? So we'll get into the steps now of the registration. The listing application should be submitted to the authority in the formal manner, which is again done in the FTA portal. The authority means the FTA prior to deciding may request for further information, and that information has to be submitted within 15 days. And again, the authority will mandate the tax agent that the condition should be fulfilled, and renewed suspension and cancellation of listing regarding that condition, the tax agent should be aware of and should be fulfilled by. So now what I'll do is I'll just quickly take you through the steps. So,
Yeah, Riddhesh, before we
yeah,
move to the steps, maybe we can take Bijay's question.
yeah,
Yeah, Bijay, can you please unmute? Yeah,
Hi Riddhesh, hi Prabhdeep. Thank you for
yeah.
arranging this nice discussion. I have one question. I think I'm audible, correct?
Yes,
yes,
yes. Please.
Yeah. So I understand from the process that we've gone through, for a practical, for a experienced charter accountant who are working in the corporates, they cannot go for a tax agency basically, because maybe I'm working for a company, but the company doesn't have any license for accounting or tax agency, and I can appear for the exam, but I'll not get the certificate of tax agent, correct?
Yes,
No.
that's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Is
So
this
you can get a provisional
solely
certificate.
for the charter accountants who are solely into practice, and maybe they are engaged with any particular partner firm, or they have their own firm as a tax as a accountancy and auditing, or maybe tax consultancy? They go for tax agency, a tax agent's exam, and they can get the certificate. Correct.
That's correct. That's correct. You'll get a provisional certificate here, but you won't get the
Perfect.
final
Perfect.
certificate.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah, yeah. But one point which has come up from a discussion earlier, Riddhesh, one is that there shouldn't be a confusion that you cannot appear because you can demonstrate your experience from corporate experience also, right? So, getting a tax agency is afterwards a requirement which definitely someone who is taking a tax, becoming a tax agent can enable it. But there shouldn't be a confusion that if you have worked in a corporate sector in a taxation department, you cannot go ahead. That shouldn't come up, right?
That's correct. That's
Uh,
100% correct. Both are
yeah.
separate
So,
things.
yeah, Jeet, maybe Jeet, your question also we can take. Jeet, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. A quick question. If one
Yeah.
does become the tax agent through VAT route, then he cannot take up corporate tax work or vice versa, or how is the boundary fixed between the two?
So yeah, you can take up the corporate tax work also, but that will not be in the capacity of a tax agent, right? So when you register for VAT, so there is a process like when you want to allocate a client, let's say a client selects a tax agent, right? So tax client will select a tax agency, for example, XYZ organization. Then it will go to XYZ organization and the work will be allocated. So let's say client has only selected for VAT. And if you are registered only for corporate tax, then you won't be able to get the access in the FTA portal to that client, right? So you have to be registered for both if you want to do both, and you can still continue practicing the both, but in the capacity of tax agent, you'll be only be able to do VAT, not corporate tax.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So there is no bar from FTA, like even outside the tax agency, outside tax agent, you cannot practice corporate tax. I hope this answers.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So now I think this is something which is very practical, which I have made. Like it's a project planner. So for those of you, whoever is planning, so there are multiple documents which are required, uh, two exams which are to be cleared. So when you should start what? So this is something which tells you and along with the cost also. So ATT exam. So let's come to week one. Let's say today someone decides I want to be a tax agent. So what are the activities he or she needs to do? Right. So first is ATT exam certificate. For that, you need to complete the PwC diploma. So that needs to be started ASAP because it it is a long process. Like it can take around 7 weeks. So there are 16 to 18 lectures, 2 lectures per week, and definitely if there is a holiday, the length will become much bigger, or the time frame will become much bigger. So this is something which needs to be started in week one. Registration, and you can get in touch with PwC, or even you can get in touch with me as well. I can get you registered, uh, and then start attending the lectures. There are courses, like it's not continuous, like it's not online. There are courses which are published by the PwC, starting on monthly or maybe once 2 months, right? And then for IELTS also, you should start registering, and if you feel that you need lectures, you can do right from week one itself, right? And tax, so again, there are two kind of registration. One is tax agent registration, and there is tax agency registration. So tax agency registration is something which can be started right from day one. Like you can evaluate whether your license of the entity has the required details, required activities to register itself as tax agent. If not, then please do that and start the process of tax agency. So that can be completed in 3 weeks. So 15 days time, 2 weeks. So I've just made it to 3 weeks out of abundant caution. So by 3 week, you should have your you can have your tax agency got it registered, even before you become a tax agent, so that you are ready, and you don't have to hamper around once you become a tax agent. Oh, I have to register tax agency also. And one, so what are the documents which are required? One is police clearance certificate, which can be obtained within a few days' time. Second is degree equivalency certificate. Now this is something which can take time. Like, what is degree equivalency certificate? Like, one of the condition what we saw was that he or she should have a bachelor's degree with or without master's in tax. So that may be from any other country in the world. So how does the government here comes to know that whether this is a qualifying bachelor's degree? So this so they'll come to know through degree equivalency certificate, which is issued by Ministry of Education here in UAE. So what you have to do is you have to submit your graduation certificate, the final certificate, which has to be attested by the MOFA. And for MOFA attestation, you will need the embassy attestation as well. So that in itself is a 1 month process. So first get that done. But I guess most of us might have the degree already attested, for visa purpose. But if at all it is not, then you should do that first. That will take a month's time minimum. And once that is done, you can apply for degree equivalency certificate. But one thing to note here is, let's say you appeared for 6 sems in for getting 6 semesters for getting your degree, you'll need the mark sheet for all those 6 semesters. Without those 6 mark sheets, you are not going to get the degree equivalency certificate. So in many of the cases I have come across, they ask me whether this is mandatory or no. So yes, this is mandatory without those 6 mark sheets. So if you don't have, then please find it somewhere in your cupboards or something. Or if it is not available, then you'll need to approach your university or your college through which you got it done. So this can take time. That's what I want to point out. And then there is professional indemnity insurance, which can be started subsequently as well. So after completing the ATT exam and the IELTS exam, you can apply for the tax agent registration. So by the time by week 9, you might have completed the lectures and you might have completed the exam also. Even before completing. So how do you give the exams? Right. So once you complete the lectures, the PwC Academy will tell you that there are few exam slots which are coming up. So you'll need to register that ASAP because the slots get full very fast. So register for the examination, and I've taken a 2 weeks time. Within the 2 weeks time, you will be able to clear. So over here, you will need 60 or 70%. I'm not pretty sure, but there is some criteria for getting for passing the exam. And these exams are competitive. Let me tell you, like it is MCQ based, but it's not that you can directly go without preparing. You will have to prepare, and the material which PwC Academy provides is really awesome, and the training is also awesome. Like I would recommend you to attend the lectures. Like, even if you are an tax expert, definitely there will be eye opener moments for you, like which I experienced. Like, the faculty there is really good. So by week 9, what will happen is you might have completed your IELTS, you might have registered the tax agency, you might have cleared the ATT examination, and then you are all set to register yourself as the tax agent, the individual tax agent registration. So for that, you will first need to create your account in the Imara Tax portal if you already don't have, and then register yourself as a tax agent. There will be a host of documents which they will ask, which will include police clearance certificate, degree equivalency, the degree as well. So professional indemnity is something which is not required at this stage, but it's better to keep it prepared. Then the declarations will be asked, and the experience letter as well will be asked over here. So once you submit those details, there might be certain queries from the FTA which they'll ask. So what the law mentions is the FTA should reply to you within 15 days of submitting the details, but that rarely happens. Like, FTA takes its own sweet time, and then they revert to your query. And then there is possibility that they might even reply to you before 15 days also. Like, I experienced it. Like, there were few to and fro's from with FTA regarding the details, and in few cases they were very quick. Like, in 2 days they gave back the reply. Be ready for that as well. And within the 15 days, once they reply, you will have 15 days to reply back to them with the queries. Right, and once if the FTA is satisfied that you are fulfilling all the conditions, all your documents are in place, what they'll issue is a provisional registration letter. This will not contain your registration number, the 10 number, what we say, TAAN. This will not contain, but this will just give you a provisional certificate that you are fulfilling all the conditions. Now you have to fulfill one last condition is you will need to register yourself or link yourself with a tax agency. So by this time, we already have a tax agency registered. So you will just need to go to your portal, select the what your organization or what a tax agency you wish to register, and then upload the professional indemnity insurance which has your name, and then pay the fees of 3,000 dirhams. At this stage, you'll need to pay this fees. And once you pay this, you are good to go. You can get yourself registered. So once the FTA is satisfied with this, they'll issue you the final certificate of registration. And over here, I have mentioned the fees also, which you guys can see. So over here also there is a bit confusion. A few people say that the fees is 20,000 dirhams or somewhat like. But there are few channels through which you go. The fees can be reduced to 12,500. And in case of VAT, it will be 7,000 dirhams. And again, one practical aspect, if you are registering yourself for VAT, tax agent for VAT, there is an option for self-study. But the PwC in this case charges you a fees of 5,000 dirhams versus a 7,000 dirham fee for the full-fledged course. So, it's up to you to decide, like, by paying the 2,000 dirhams, you want access to the material and the lectures, or you are confident enough. So Prabdeep ji, this is it from
Yeah,
my side. I'll
right,
just
right.
move to the questions.
Yeah. So we'll take the question from Mustafa. We'll start taking the questions. There are many questions here quickly. Yeah, Mustafa, can you please unmute? Yeah, please go ahead.
Hey, hi Riddhesh, hi Prabhdeep ji. So,
Thank
for
you.
the, can you go and present your sheet because I have some questions regarding the process. Suppose you appear for the ATT examination, you clear it, you have the IELTS score that you mentioned that more than 6 GPA. So, does it has a validity? Something that if you score once more than 6 GPA, it will be good to go till you get the tax agency registered maybe in a year or two. That is one thing.
Hmm.
Second thing is regarding the degree equivalent. Suppose you have appeared for the bachelor's and master's and you have the master's degree attested,
Hmm.
but you don't have a bachelor's degree from the university, but you have the mark sheet. Okay.
Hmm.
So whether master's degree would be sufficient to get the education credentials requirement, and suppose you fulfill all the criteria but you don't want to register as a tax agent, keep yourself registered as a provisional agent for now, and
Hmm.
at times you may want to switch it later. At a later stage you want to switch it to a complete tax agent or a empaneled tax agent. Is it possible to do so?
Right. So, I think there are three set of questions which you asked. One regarding the validity of the IELTS. So, British Council clearly states that the IELTS score is valid only for 6 months period. So, good that you brought this up. I skipped mentioning that. So, it is valid for 6 months. So, even in my case, I had given IELTS like many years back, but I had to reappear for that exam because that had already expired. And there is validity, I'll just take your third question, before the second question. Regarding the validity of your provisional certificate. So the provisional certificate clearly mentions that it will be valid only for a 30 days period. But again, I'll give you practical insights. Due to some reason, there was a delay in my case for applying for the final registration. Like once I get the provisional, we have to appear for final registration, right? So there was a delay of more than 30 days. But FTA did allow me even after this 30 days time. But practically you'll have to take a call. You cannot go to FTA after 1 year, and maybe 6 months and say, "Why now I want to become." So they might ask you. So again, this is at the discretion of the FTA, I would say. So sorry, what was your second question?
My second question was the degree requirement. So
Sorry,
that you
yeah,
have
over here
mentioned.
I would suggest you get the bachelor's degree only attested because Like it. So it what the law like let's read what the law says. Like whether they are writing bachelors or masters or they are just writing the bachelors. So it's written certified bachelor's degree. Right, so even FTA knew that there might be few candidates who might have done masters also. If they would have the intention was if the intention was to do that, they would have mentioned it here only. I would suggest that get the bachelor's degree attested along with the mark sheets.
That is what I mentioned. I don't have the bachelor's degree, and going back to the university to get the degree would be a difficult task. That what was my
Hmm.
concern here.
So what you can do here is you can try with your master's degree, but if at all the FTA asks you to get your bachelor's degree, you can do so. So I did the same approach for IELTS. So I submitted without my IELTS examination because I knew that I knew IELTS and I would be able to clear it in few days time. So I did apply without IELTS, but they rejected it and said me that you will need to get the IELTS certificate. So after they told me, I got that done. So you can maybe follow the same approach.
Okay. So thank you. Yeah, Ram, can you please go ahead with your question? I request others who have questions to please raise your hands. Yeah. Yes, Ram, can you hear us? Can you please
Yeah,
ask your question? Yeah, please.
good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for the information. Just one question regarding this. What about the graduation done in UAE? Should that is KHDA attestation enough for that, or I need to again go to the Foreign Affairs?
No, in that case, not required. If it's a UA graduation, then it's not required.
Not required,
You need
right?
not get the degree
Okay.
equivalent.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think many questions have been answered, Riddhesh. There was one question I saw, which was that if I become a tax agent and then move to a corporate job, then what happens?
So your visa will be cancelled, right? So one of the condition was
Yeah.
that you have to be a partner or a director or an employee of that company. So once your visa will get cancelled, you'll stop fulfilling the conditions. So you will have to suo moto, approach the FTA to get your registration cancelled. Or if the FTA comes to know, they'll cancel your registration.
Okay. So another question, Riddhesh, is professional indemnity needed in favor of individual tax agent or in favor of the firm?
So it will be in the favor of firm, but the tax agent name should be mentioned in that.
Right. Okay. So, okay, there's another question that is it compulsory to do the course from PwC, I think, which you have answered for both VAT and CAT. Is there any combined
For
course? So no
VAT,
combined
no,
course, right?
command course is not there, but for VAT, self-study is allowed. For
Yeah.
corporate
So
tax, you will
this
have
has been
to attend the
answered.
lectures. Like you'll have
Yeah.
to register for the lectures. I think
Yeah.
one
So,
question is regarding the golden visa. Like in
hmm,
this case, you will have to get your labor card. Your visa can remain the way it is, but you'll have to get your labor card from that organization.
right. So the final call for any question. Anyone has a question, you can directly unmute yourself and state the question. Anyone? No? I think all the questions have been answered, Riddhesh. So what are your final words, Riddhesh, for the day as we close the session?
So I would say it's a wonderful journey. Like even if we talk about the business side or the service side of it, the tax agent certification brings you a lot of credibility. Like just by I have received a lot of
Right.
leads just because I am a tax agent. Right. So,
Hmm.
so one, if at all, you are a full-fledged into taxation, I would recommend you that you take this certification because there is a potential that, FTA or the MOF will restrict certain kind of activities. And, one which we already have is TDRC. Like, as the UAE moves to a much more regulated environment, the credibility of tax agent will just keep on increasing, and this adds a value to your to your brand.
Okay.
One
Yeah.
last question.
Yeah, yeah. Please, Mustafa.
So, suppose in one case you switch to employments, or you if I'm planning ahead, suppose I get a trade license in my own name, or if I form a company, and accordingly I plan to register a tax agent, then it would be a continuity thing that till my trade license and the.
But you'll face a challenge getting your labor card unless your employer agrees that you don't have a labor card with that employer, which is illegal, which is illegal.
Sorry, I didn't get it. Because if I have my trade license, I would be having investor visa, right?
Yes, but as I said, you'll need to get a labor card in from that organization, which
Okay.
is getting registered as a tax agency. So you'll have
Okay.
your labor card, which is registered from your employer. But if you're not doing that, it's illegal from the employer side. So
Okay.
this arrangement will something which will not be legal. It's,
Okay. Perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, Riddhesh, this question here in the chat box, can I fulfill the experience criteria if I've worked in corporates for more than 3 years or 5 years in the
Yeah,
tax
we
field?
have already answered that, right?
Yeah. So it's answered, but I think this experience is what has been confusing everyone. But I think once we have heard, and once we go more into detail of what kind of experiences others had, that can definitely help us clear the things. James is here. James has also deep knowledge. James, is there anything you would like to share before we close? If you're here, James, your experiences on anything? Okay, not able to see him. Fine. So, thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. This week, we have met in mid of the week. We'll not be meeting on Saturday as we normally meet, but on 23rd of this month, we will be having a session on UAE AML, like what the UAE regulators, the government expects on the UAE AML functions. That will be at 11 a.m. on 23rd, 11 a.m. UAE time, and we look forward to host you on 23rd of this month for this session where CA Bharat Jeswani will be our speaker. A deep gratitude to Ridesh and you all.
So,
Bigger,
sorry,
bigger.
before we wrap up, I would like
Yeah,
to again thank you
yeah.
for creating such a great forum for, as a
Thank you.
speaker and as a audience. So, you're doing a really good job. Like, I
Thank
really look forward to you, and you are my mentor. Like,
Thank you, Riddhesh. Thank you for your warm words. Thank you to everyone. Have a wonderful weekend ahead. Have a safe drive back home. If you're in your offices, take good care of yourself. Bye bye. Thank you, Riddhesh.
thanks
Bye bye to
everyone. Bye.
everyone.